I'm Austin Roncali. I'm a lawyer here at Pace Law Firm. I graduated from the University of Guelph in 2017 with an undergraduate degree in criminal justice and public policy with a minor in philosophy. After which I went to law school at Queen's University Belfast in Northern Ireland. Graduated in 2019, and I got called to the bar in February of 2022. Being a lawyer is actually something that I've always wanted to do. My mom's been a law clerk for over 30 years, 20 of which she's worked at Pace. So, I was always around the office and in the summertime and on days off for school. And I think the kind of defining moment in deciding to choose a career in the legal field was take your kid to work day in grade 9. I came to Pace and I had the opportunity to go on a mediation with one of the lawyers in the office, and I'll definitely never forget how hard he fought for his clients. And watching him advocate was something that was just so inspiring and motivating. And I remember thinking to myself, even at a young age, like, I think I can do this for a living one day. And 13 years later, here I am. First and foremost is if you need medical attention, calling 911, getting an ambulance there. If you're fortunate enough that you don't, it's taking pictures of the vehicle and typically reporting the accident, just so that at least it's documented. At the end of the day, if you do have injuries and you do need treatment, documenting the accident is something that plays a part and it helps. And if you do need treatment, you can go through your own insurer. If they're minor injuries, they'll pay up to, I believe, $2,000 worth of physio, chiropractic treatment, massage therapy, whatever you need. And then at the end of the day, if a lawsuit's something that you're considering, then you have 2 years from the date of your accident to commence an action. I think client services is something that's integral to the legal industry as a whole, but especially in what I do in personal injury. These are people that have gone through an event in their life that has impacted almost all, if not all, aspects of their life, right? So they're going through a really stressful time in terms of their health, their financial situation, what they can do at home, their hobbies. And then, oftentimes you're adding a lawsuit on top of that, which is, fairly complex in nature. So being available to clients, and, I know that goes for all members of my team, myself included. I give clients my personal cell phone number. Tell them they can call me anytime. Whether it's just answering questions they have and kind of helping them understand the next step in their case, so that they feel a little more comfortable, or even just giving them, someone to vent to during a stressful time. I think it's important to make them feel comfortable and try and alleviate the stress that, a lawsuit and a legal claim can cause, because it's obviously and, pretty understandably can be stressful. We had one gentleman who was in a pretty severe accident with actually his wife and kids. And it was kind of heartbreaking. It was, he had never had an issue before in his entire life. It's crazy. He looked at his OHIP summary and he had legitimately no doctor's visits before this accident. He was going through an intersection and someone ran a red light and ended up T-boning him, and he ended up sliding into a telephone pole, which collapsed on his car. The fire department came and actually had to use the jaws of life to get him out of the car and transport him to hospital, which, he was treated as a trauma patient. I think he spent about a month in hospital, having to go through all sorts of treatments so that he could return home safely. And even to this day, I think he still has trouble with stairs and things along the lines of that. And then, end up breaking a few different body parts, and he was only, in his 30s. He had to walk with a cane. He couldn't pick up his kids. He couldn't play with them, and his whole life kind of changed. He was winning awards at work, and he couldn't go back, and he was just, he was really depressed, really anxious, and it was tough to see someone who described his life so happy before go through something like that. So, we obviously just did everything we could through, getting him LTD benefits, Canadian Pension Plan disability benefits, income replacement benefits, and then ultimately achieving a settlement on his file that allowed him to get the treatment he needed for his rehabilitation and, any assistance he needed around the house with housekeeping, stuff like that. It was nice to actually see him smile at the end of the day. My email is listed on the website, along with my office number. You can call the general number for the firm. My extension is 320.